welcome to Hare the Rabbit podcast. We explore everything that is rabbit. We look at different rabbit breeds, history, superstition, pop culture, news, and more. I would like to thank you for joining me today, your host, Jeff Hittinger. I'm not an expert, I'm just curious about learning more about rabbits, just like you. Was a story without a campfire in the background. A folktale is a story originated in popular culture, typically passed on by word of mouth. In many tales, Rabbit is a trickster character in folktales of African, African American, and Native American culture. Rabbit is the consummate trickster who typically matches wits with a character whom he tries to best. Brer Rabbit is a trickster character in folk tales of African, African American, and Native American culture. Brer Rabbit is a consummate trickster. He typically matches wits with the Brer Fox, whom he always bests. Now we're going to read you a Brer Rabbit story. Now this is a Georgia folk tale. It's retold by S.E. Schlosser. One fine morning, Brer Fox decided to plant him a patch of peas. He set to with a will, and before you knew it, he had raked and hoed out a beautiful patch of ground, and he put in a fine planting of peas. It didn't take too long before those goober vines grew tall and long, and the peas ripened up good and smart. Now Brer Rabbit, he'd watched Brer Fox planting the goobers, and he told his children and Miss Rabbit where they could find the patch. As soon as those peas were ripe, the little rabbits and Brer Rabbit would sneak in and grab up them goobers by the handful. It got so bad that when Brer Fox came to the goober patch, he could hardly find a pea to call his own. Well, Brer Fox, he was plenty mad, and he'd worked so hard on those peas only to have them eaten by someone else. He suspected that Brer Rabbit was to blame for this, but the rascally rabbit had covered his tracks so well that Brer Fox couldn't catch him. So Brer Fox came up with a plan. He found a smooth spot in his fence where a cunning rabbit could sneak in, and he set a trap for Brer Rabbit at that spot. He tied a rope to a nearby hickory sapling and bent it nearly double. Then he took the other end of the rope and made a loop knot, and he fastened with a trigger right around the hole in the fence. If anybody came through the crack to steal his peas, the knot would tighten around their body, the sapling would spring upright, and they would be left hanging from the tree for everyone to see. The next morning, Brer Rabbit came a-slipping through the hole in the fence. At once, the trigger sprung, the knot tightened on his forelegs, and the hickory tree snapped up right quick as you please. Brer Rabbit found himself swinging aloft betwixt the heaven and the earth, swinging from the hickory sapling. He couldn't go up, he couldn't go down, he just went back and forth. Brer Rabbit was in a fix, no mistake. He was trying to come up with some glib explanation for Brer Fox when he heard something rumbling and bumbling down the road. It was Brer Bear looking for a bee tree so he could get some honey. As soon as Brer Rabbit saw Brer Bear, he came up with a plan to get himself free. "Howdy, Brer Bear," he called cheerfully. Brer Bear squinted around here and there, wondering where the voice had come from. Then he looked up and saw Brer Rabbit swinging from the sapling. "Howdy, Brer Rabbit," he rumbled. "How are you this morning?" "Middling, Brer Bear," Rabbit replied. "Just middling." Brer Bear was wondering why Brer Rabbit was up in the tree, so he asked him about it. Brer Rabbit grinned and said that he was earning $1 a minute from Brer Fox. $1 a minute?" Brer Bear exclaimed. "What for?" "I'm keeping the crows away from his goober patch," Brer Rabbit explained, and went on to say that Brer Fox was paying $1 a minute to whomever would act as a scarecrow for him. Well, Brer liked the sound of that. He had a big family to feed, and he could use the money. When Brer Rabbit asked him if he would like to have the job, Brer Bear agreed. Brer Rabbit showed him how to bend the sapling down and remove the knot from his forepaws. When Brer Rabbit was free, Brer Bear climbed into the knot, and soon he was hanging aloft betwixt the heaven and the earth, swinging to and from the sapling and growling at the birds to keep them away from the goober patch. Brer Rabbit laughed and laughed at the sight of Brer Bear up in the sapling. He scampered down the road to Brer Fox's place and told him that his trap was sprung and the goober thief was hanging from the hickory tree. Brer Fox grabbed his walking stick and ran down the road after Brer Rabbit. When he saw Brer Bear hanging there, Brer Fox called him a goober thief. Brer Fox ranted and raved and threatened to hit Brer Bear with his walking stick. He yelled so loud that Brer Bear didn't have time to explain anything. Brer Rabbit knew that Brer Bear would be plenty mad at him when he found out that he had been tricked, so he ran down the road and hid in the mud beside the pond. Only his eyeballs stuck out. This made him look like an old bullfrog. By and by, a very grumpy bear came lumbering down the road. "Howdy, Brer Bullfrog," Brer Bear said when he saw Brer Rabbit's eyes sticking out of the mud. "You seen Brer Rabbit anywhere?" "Brer Rabbit just ran on down the road," he told the grumpy bear in a deep croaking voice that sounded just like the voice of a frog. Brer Bear thanked him and trotted down the road, growling fiercely. When Brer Bear was out of sight, Brer Rabbit jumped out of the mud. He washed himself off in the pond and scampered home, chuckling to himself at how he escaped from Brer Fox and Brer Bear, and already thinking up a new way to get into Brer Fox's goober patch to get him some peas to eat. Now that concludes that Trickster Rabbit tale. If you would like to email me, reach out at hareoftherabbit@gmail.com, or you can visit the website at hareoftherabbit.com. If you would like to support the podcast and keep the lights on, you can support us whenever you use Amazon through the link at the website on the Support the Podcast page. This will not cost you anything extra, and I cannot see who purchased what. You can also become a Fluffle fan supporter by donating through Patreon. And again, there's a link at the hareoftherabbitpodcast.com.